Alright, so I know my balance right now is terrible. I'm just trying to do all I can regarding my accounts, and I'm trying my best to catch up and get my life together. So I'm doing the screen recording for both myself and in order to show and try to find any kind of guidance from anyone who can help me better explain or better manage such transactions or issues or whatever. So let me go back. I'm just trying to show my banking statements. Because I'm going to compare them later to the requested PDF spreadsheet or whatever, to just kind of show the differences in detail, availability versus something like currently on the app where I click on it, right, and then I see an update or whatever. So for example, that's just what I'm trying to look at right now. So let's see what else. Go back. Just showing you examples again. See, like this one, for example, computer network information systems. That just showed up right now. I don't recognize that. I don't know what it's pending for. If it's money going out or money coming in, I'm not sure. But we're finding out. Amazon.com. Computer network information services. Yeah, I'm not sure what that means, why that is, but we'll find out. So I guess my previous balance available was that. Okay, so I'm left with 158. Oh, what happened to that other charge that we just saw right now? See, I'm glad I'm recording this, because what happened to that one weird charge from Amazon.com? Then now all of a sudden it's gone. But if I hadn't recorded this, that would have never popped up. There it is again. Okay, so see, that shows up here. Amazon.com, computer services, tech information services, right? It shows up right now as pending. I don't know if it's pending in or if it's pending out, right? But then if I click on something else, for instance, this was a Cash App transfer. This will try to float me. I check my details and it'll float me, right? I had to go back, and that one thing that we saw, that Amazon is going to be gone. Bam, where is it at? Where is that pending thing that they were just showing me? This is very frustrating. More frustrating specifically because this was not, from my knowledge or recollection, was not an issue way back when, in the early days of school's first inception, or at least my joining of it. This is a long time ago. I'm talking about a long time ago, right? So anyway, let's look at our statements, because the other thing I wanted to do was to check my statements and be able to show precisely how it used to be seated. And back in the days, I recall the statements to our account being available in this sort of kind of view right here, right? This type of view where you were able to see this on the app itself, like these kind of transactions. Bam, like it would show up like this. Going onto the app, on the mobile app, it would show my transactions more detailed like this. And to me, it made much more clear sense, because it had all the detail necessary on the app page, instead of having to click on things just because it's visually nicer or less complex or more simplified for older people or whatever. I don't know the excuse as to why it was changed, but it was a lot more detailed in the past, and in my opinion. So I feel that that's sort of kind of the issue too. So let's see. We found a way to close that for now. But anyway, let's see. How can I download it? Download it using File Manager. It doesn't give me the option to save anywhere. It just opens up the app, but it doesn't give me the option to save anything. I don't get it. Anyway, that's weird. I'll look at that later. Anyway, however, I want to see my statements. All statements. See account. Accounts. See, whereas before this was also available, and that's again, this is so strange because in the past, in order to download, like if I press download on this, right, in the past it should, or recently in the past I should say rather, but basically I would be able to open it up with the web browser, for instance, because if I open it with the web browser, then the web browser allows me to download it. But from the app itself, so from the Schools First Federal Credit Union app, they're giving me the option to open up this file or to download this file, but it's asking through which file browsing app I want to use. So let's try any other one. CX, okay. Alright, I see that. Is this okay? So yeah, it is. So it is downloading. Okay, at least it is downloading. And automatically I'm starting to see now, for instance, that it's showing up here as ST, schools. So I don't know, but if that stands for anything, but the ST MTAs PDFs seem to be that statement that I'm currently looking to download, and that's what the image looks like. So I think that's what these are. Okay, so now we at least get a, but it doesn't give me a rename function. It doesn't give me a save as or save to. I guess it just saves automatically to whatever app it chooses to open on, but mainly to my downloads folder by default. But here's the reasons why I needed to see this, because I wanted to check and make the argument about how many times, thankfully, I was able to reverse my overdraft fees when I have had the time to call and get these addressed, but that it only happens if I call to get them addressed. And then also just the fact that because this is something that can only best be shown visually by a video, but that when I try to provide it via email, because email only limits us to a certain size or a certain size file type, I'm not able to make this a small enough file in small clips even, or portions, to explain and express my overall and bigger concern. So I'm trying to get this video, which I'm also then later going to try to have my AI analyze and help me check to see how many times I might have overdrafted where I did not call and was not able to get the refund for those overdraft fees, and how many times I was thankfully and gratefully reversed those overdraft fees, because again, my main concern is wanting to stay with my amazing and truly life-changing bank of Schools First, switching over from Wells Fargo, who I used to be with years ago, but whose predatory, kind of lending or predatory fees were just ridiculous and far more, what's the word I'm looking for, pervasive or something, I don't know, but they basically would charge you $35 overdraft, and then every day that you don't pay that overdraft, it would be like another $35 more. I don't know if they've changed their methods over time, but they also, obviously when you go talk to somebody there in person, it was never as personal or as polite and respectful as it was when I switched over to Schools First, which provided a more personal kind of feeling and customer service that I felt was amazing, and that I, to this day, tell everyone, especially my customers at my store that I work at, whenever I see them paying with a Schools First card, I always, and you can ask them if y'all like, but I always tell them how you guys are the best bank, and I appreciate the amazing customer service that they give. I think a lot of that has to do too with the fact that they are somewhat selective as to who they let be a member. So you gotta either work for a school or be somebody who is a family member of someone who works for a school, which I think is a pretty positive and telling way to kind of keep other bad actors out. But because of that, maybe that's why they started doing the overdraft fees or something, I don't know. But my point being that I understand, I try to be more empathetic and put myself in everyone's shoes. So I don't know which statements. See, and again, these are just, I have to click on them, statement by statement. But I thought I was looking at the account statements. That somehow switches back to something else. But I wanted to see my statements, for instance, for let's say, okay, so let's just go in order. So we're doing October, right? Because I'm gonna have the AI analyze this. This is all October spendings. Okay, I go back. I have to go back to account. It switches over again. So I go to account, and then I want to do September. There we go. That's more like it. But notice how I have to basically, even if I press back, it doesn't save that I was on. It goes back to all statements where no, I want to go back to my account. But this is the kind of tedious and redundant, unfortunate kind of operational issues that I'm seeing and going through with this particular app that I find the most annoying compared to how it used to be in the early days, where I used to see my when I would log into my banking app for Schools First Federal Credit Union, the view on the app itself was very much like this. So all of these details was visible from the app itself, not having to do all these extra steps that I'm doing now. Just by clicking, I have to go back to account. I can't even remember which one the last one I was looking at. So let me just start from July, I think it was. So July, trying to remember July. So right now I'm going through July, because every time that I go back, it takes me to all statements, which is not where I want to be. I want to be an account, and I just finished July, so now I want to see June. But this is where what I'm arguing and why I'm arguing any of this, because I've made the suggestion so many times via messaging you guys or calling you guys, and I always feel kind of like that annoying person that just keeps bugging and doesn't get it, as I was told most recently by one of your member or agents that was thankfully helping me to understand something better. Where would I leave off at? June, May. But that he just kept telling me like, oh, I don't understand how you can't get it, or how I couldn't understand something. And the reason for that is I couldn't understand it because these are the kind of things that I don't think he understood that I was going through from my end as a user. Where was I? May, June, May, so April. The kind of stuff that I have to go through, or the things that I'm seeing. Oh, look at that. That one looks rather different. This statement of April versus, let's see. Oh, that was all statements probably. That's why. So account. We already went through August, May, so April. That's probably why I see it. And that is again. Oh no, it is that. Okay, so I was right. Okay, so then that's April. But then how come April looks different from May on the account portion? So May, you see how that formatting changed? That's something else that I would like to ask about and question. But somehow that table that was on April changed on May. So there was changes happening from the bank's part, or from the bank's perspective. Let's see what happened before April. So April, March. Let's see what March looks like. Well, another formatting, more like the older formatting. So maybe this one was just more boxed in, where they started making it a little bit larger and wider on the more recent statements. But that change is very interesting, and I would like to know what other changes were happening during that time from the company's perspective, to understand maybe where we're all having this miscommunication or issues at. So that was March, I think. Let's see, February account statement. So again, and it's crazy to see all this, because I'm sure that if I have more time to sit down and actually go through it, I can explain what every single transaction I've done was about, or what it was covering, or what I was going through during that time, because of how crazy my life has been lately. And that's why I'm not really against AI or surveillance or whatever. I mean, because it's like, I have nothing to hide. Why should I even be concerned, right? Like, there's things that everybody wants to hide or keep private, which I understand, so do I. But if people were just less judging, then maybe people would have less to hide. So I think that judging is another part of it. It's like, why are we judging each other so much? And in reality, we're all probably have more things alike than we have different. Where would I leave off at? So I was in 2025. I think I was February, so I need January. Oh no, did I do February? Yeah, I think I did February. But anyway, as you guys can see, I'm trying my best to capture all this in order to maybe even go as far back as before this, right? Like if I go, I wonder how far back I can go. I know that my account was closed for a while because I had not paid during a unfortunate time I went to jail for, and all connected due to the family estrangement and all that I kind of went through. But the fact that I was in jail, I was not able to, just in case I didn't get February, I was not able to pay some $10, I think it was, that I was negative on, and it caused me to lose my account. And I was then again only thankfully reinstated because my sister joined you guys after, when she started working at a school, which was able to reactivate my account that I actually had before she did with Schools First. But I am just reminiscing right now. It's just a trip on how everything I've been going through is just all heavily connected to each other. And I understand that everyone is the sole kind of, or the main source of, whether they succeed or fail. Everybody individually has their own power. But there are oftentimes things outside of our controls that are affected by other external factors. Like me, for instance, my family was the external factor that, despite my honesty with them, it was because of my honesty that they judged me negatively and made decisions that later on heavily affected my life, even if it was something as simple as trusting me or not trusting me, just based on something that I chose to be honest with them about. But that's, I think, as far as I'll go back in these particular statements. Did I do that one already? I think I already did this one for December of 2024, just the last check. But the loading times difference is also a very telling part, I think, too. Like that loading time. But anywho, let's see. If I was, it goes back to all statements. If I was to go to all statements for what is it, July? No, I was December 2024. Because I'm trying to find out what this means, but what the difference between the statements are. What's the difference between the whole all statement view versus account statement view? And hopefully, again, I'm just trying to capture all this for my artificial intelligence to help me understand this better, as it can read and do things that I can't have much time to do, or as efficiently as it can. I haven't done much spending on my credit card, because I know I've been having to owe you guys, and I already I'm so extremely thankful for the amounts that I've been able to even increase. I think I was going through a very difficult time in JAM, where Schools First actually increased the amount of my credit card during the time that my employer was cutting my hours and trying to quiet fire me by cutting those hours, not telling me that I actually had sick days available that he otherwise had to be, had to offer me or pay me even when I was at the hospital. But because I went to the hospital and he then later on cut my hours after returning from the hospital, was a telling sign that he was doing these kind of nefarious also type of decisions on that affected my life. Basically, this was just a random, I'm not even going in order, I'm just trying to check what the credit card looks like versus the other one, and if there's any difference in time, such as earlier when I looked at my statement from a certain date, and the formatting changed on a certain other day. So that's why I was going back to see if I can see any formatting differences on the statements, even to show a change over time more accurately. I was trying to keep this clip under 20 minutes. But I hope it loads fast, because I got 55 seconds before it's 20 minutes. It might go over 20 minutes, unfortunately. Oh, there goes 20 minutes now, and this is still loading. But I guess it's good to capture and show the things that need to be worked on or changed, even from Schools First, who is amazing, by the way. I do appreciate you guys tremendously, but these are the types of issues that still loading. Oh, hang on a second. What happened there? I think I just pressed on something and it happened to do that. Credit card. There we go. Okay. So that concludes my little test screen grab for now. Hopefully my file is not too large for my AI to then also pick up and read. But again, I'm just trying to get my life together. I'm doing my best to also just share this with anybody that can hopefully make a difference and actually change things or mention things to the proper channels necessary so that we can hopefully all help each other out. These are difficult times, and I look at the effect that it has on the country as a total or as a whole, right? Like, we're just, some videos that I've been watching, or some other people that were advocating or just speaking on subjects that were experiencing. For instance, sorry, and I might sound crazy talking about this, but for instance, I watched a couple videos with a ex-CIA member, or agent, better yet, or ex-agent from CIA, who just kind of talks about how, and I agree, right, like how people, we imagine World War I, World War II, they were very, catastrophic and visually telling, I guess. But I felt, or he felt, and then that also was like kind of like a feeling or thought that I always had, but I never was able to think about it properly the way that he explained it. But it was more the idea that, like, in the future, World War III, for instance, wouldn't necessarily be, I was logged out. And that's another thing that bothers me, it annoys me, right? Because sometimes I'll be trying to write a message to you guys, and I can't, because I'll start writing it, and as I'm typing it, it'll log me out, and then when I log back in, the message is gone. And so that fact, I get it's for security purposes, I get all that, but it is rather extremely annoying having to go through that. And it's just, part of the reason. But anyway, so the videos that I was, or the clips that I watched, where this guy named Andrew Bustamante, who's an ex-CIA agent, was able to really explain this very well, where it's just the idea that, like, if there was to be a World War III, it would more than likely not be as crazy as we imagined, World War I and World War II were, because of technology and the advancements and everybody trying to do things kind of secretively and all that, right? So that we don't just, completely destroy and annihilate ourselves. But that World War III could, might actually have already been started or be, and it's by, through these kind of technological attacks or, cyber attacks or otherwise, these types of methods. And so the fact that we all worry about seeing bombs and shootings and all that, the war might have already been started economically, and we just don't know it. And so we have to be mindful of one another and understand that, a lot of these things are heavily connected and heavily affected by how we all help or not help each other out. And so, yeah, I'm just trying to show this for the reasons that I will have AI analyze and help me better manage my approach, as I will more than likely get overdrafted soon when these cash advance apps that I've been using take money from my account, because I've had to use and borrow some of their money to emergencies that I otherwise regret having to need. But if people were able to pay people that they owe money to and not charge them any kinds of predatory type fees, then possibly, then there would be that, like, fairness, or I wouldn't be in such a heavy situation. Because, like, for instance, my employer right now, only because they started harassing me, I started doing my research to find out all the stuff that I find out, but he owes his wages for sick pay and all this stuff, right? So let's say if, for instance, I was a bank, I would not only charge him for him to pay us back, but he would have to pay us back with interest. And now that in itself, it's a process that I've been having to do. And just to show proof of that, let me go to my email app. so you guys can see that I'm not messing around with this. So, whoops. If I go to my account and I type in DIR. Okay, so bam, bam. Ooh, let's see. I'm glad that I got this. Okay, so anyway, so yeah, so this is my. See, so right here it says, for instance, they're telling me themselves, right? The first wage claim statements, conferences are first come, first served basis. In other words, claims submitted prior to yours will be processed at first. At time conference scheduled. Okay. See, so this is crazy because I have to. Yeah, so I just updated my. It's just me contacting them to let them know that my phone number had changed.
Greetings. The next step in the wage claim process is a settlement conference. Conferences are scheduled on a first come, first served basis. In other words, claims submitted prior to yours will be processed first. At this time, conferences are being scheduled at least 12 to 18 months from the time you filed your claim. When your case is scheduled for a settlement conference, all parties will be notified via mail of the date and time of your appointment, which may be held remotely. In the meantime, you are required to notify this office of any change in your address. If you do not keep your contact information current, you may miss your scheduled conference, and it may result in the closing of your case. Your phone information has been updated. Since you state you do not currently have a permanent mailing address, our system will send an email notification about the conference once one is scheduled. Please make sure you review your emails regularly.
Okay, so that's the thing. So I do have the thing is, I do have a regular mailing address. I just don't have a physical staying address, right? Like I'm using an old address where I grew up in, the landlord there where my mom used to stay before she passed away, and her late husband that she left behind, whatever, he still lives there. Him and I don't get along, but he still rents from that address. But I'm able to get mail there thanks to the landlord who allows me to. And so I have a permanent mailing address, which is that of 10603 Mansell Avenue. Let me write that one out. So I don't know, I know AI is scary for most, but to me, I find it very useful. And I know I'm probably having it do just basic stuff compared to the power and capabilities that it actually has. But yeah, so let's replace that, and then yeah, it's funny how they write it. The suggestions I'm reading right now is how to more professionally write it. I guess I'm terrible at emails and stuff, so this is why I use these kinds of features. Okay, so it's between the professional and the casual. I'm just gonna go with this casual. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so glad that they replied to me, because this was 7 days ago. Damn, see, and I haven't checked until now. Also because I'm trying to filter through all the other spam. But anyway, so my point that I was trying to make you just really quickly was that I have other stuff going on with my employer that I'm trying to address and get compensated for, but that also affects how much funds I have available to me and how much hours they cut or give or whatever. And so I hope you guys can be very understanding and patient with this whole issues and stuff with me. So I appreciate all the time that you guys have allowed and kept me as a member, and I'm trying to make more informed and better decisions to better my life, seriously. So I just thank anybody who watches this clip tremendously for their time. This is Chris. Thank you. Peace.